DuneLady here. Next in this sequence of videos that I now know I'm not sure how long they will be, we are going to talk about the spectacle of Paul calling the worm. Now, the Fremen have mostly accepted Paul as one of them. He has gotten his name, Paul Muad'Dib Usul. Chani is really getting the feels for him. The other Fremen from the north are warming up to him. The fundamentalists from the south have drank the Kool-Aid. Stilgar is spreading the good word, trying to get people on board. It also gives us a little bit of comic relief because you see his wide-eyed, Javier Bardem's wide-eyed, crazed performance of, but you see, he is the chosen one. He is who we've all been waiting for. Again, not knowing that this is just a Bene Gesserit fallback plan that they spread to outer worlds just in case somebody gets stranded there and they can rope people into helping them survive. So, Chani is very worried that Paul is not going to be okay. He is having some visions when they're in the tent together. She says, "Hey, if you're not cool, I'll talk to Stilgar. We can call this off." And he's like, "No, I'm doing it. I'm ready." And she sits down with the rest of the Fremen, and they're kind of joking. They've seen Paul in action. They know that he's an incredible fighter. They see that he might be the Lisan al-Gaib who they have all been waiting for. And Chani is just very, very worried about him. And as everyone else is joking, she just gives him a look like, how could you say that? And everybody else is like, chill out. He trained under Stilgar. He's going to be just fine. And she's still not comfortable with how things are going. And you see Paul get up on the dune. He's following exactly what he's been taught by Stilgar, that this is training that I'm sure all of the Fremen have gone through. And he tries to call a worm, and you're seeing that he's not getting that resonation in the sand. And Chani is kind of talking to him like, lower. She wishes she was there with him. She's like totally momming him at this point. But he knows. I mean, he has really taken to the Fremen culture as if he was one of their own, as was written in the prophecy. So he goes down the dune a little bit, and he gets some of that nice hard sand, and you hear it boom, boom. And he's like, all right, got it. Stilgar tuned up that thumper for him. He sticks it in the sand, sets it, scoots back up to the top of the dune, and waits to see what happens. Everybody is almost in like a state of prayer at this point, wishing and hoping that he's going to be successful in this. Stilgar shouts at him, hey, call a big one, ha ha ha. Everybody laughs. The theater that I was in got a good laugh from everybody. And then you see the worm sign, and everybody's jaws drop. Oh my god, this is actually dangerous. This is an enormous worm coming. Everybody is kind of, saying their little prayers, Shai Hulud, probably like in the first film when Liet Kynes sees the worm, and actually in the first Denis Villeneuve's film, you see Liet Kynes in this version, played by a woman, start saying, bless the maker, bless his water, bless the coming and going of him. And I'm sure that because of the religious influences on the Fremen, you are seeing or you would be hearing them kind of reciting this as well. So Stilgar again makes another joke that gets a little bit of laugh from the crowd in the theater. He says, "Not that big," because we have a grandfather worm here. And that is actually prophesized that not only will the Messiah come to be a Fremen as if he was born into them, but he's going to call this gigantic worm. And even in standard definition, I did see this the first time in standard definition and then in IMAX, you're feeling everything start to shake. You get a sense of how absolutely enormous this worm that he just called was. And he's up for it. And all the Fremen are like kind of biting their lip, like, oh my god, what's going to happen? We might lose him. They see this worm come and they are crapping their pants. And Paul, boom, gets out his maker hooks and the worm gets close and he dives in. And this is the coolest scene. I mean, you are feeling the tension. You're almost feeling like you're going down a water slide. At this point, the sand is acting like water a little bit, which I think was really cool. He's almost like swimming and drowning in it. And he's just hoping at some point with these maker hooks that he's going to be able to grasp on to this worm and get it to rise up and have him ride it. So, attention to detail about something that's in the book. He grabs onto one of the rings in the worm, Shai-Hulud, and he pulls on it. And you see that it raised up and we got some holes there. And it's almost like some breathing holes with cilia. I really loved that. I mean, the design of the worm, come on. Denis Villeneuve, hands down, has made the best sci-fi aliens and monsters that we have ever seen on the screen. So at this point, I'm pretty sure that my mouth was open and my jaw was dropping a little bit because holy crap, it was a spectacle. I loved it. Pulling back those rings actually gets the sandworm to turn so that that part of it is raised up out of the sand. And I don't know, I mean, it probably makes sense that if those cilia are exposed and those holes, that sand could get packed in there and maybe the worm couldn't breathe or something. So it does turn so that that bit faces up out of the sand. And that's how the Fremen are able to ride the worms. So eventually, Paul gets both of his hooks in there. We're on the edge of our seats. Like, oh, is he going to do it? He gets that second hook in there. He starts to get a better handle on it. The worm comes up, and then he extends it so that the ropes come out. And he's got the maker hooks kind of further back into the worm. And then we have the Hans Zimmer music that, again, chills. We got goosebumps. We are rooting for Paul. Like, do it, do it, do it. The music comes to a crescendo, and we have Paul's knee start to raise up, and he starts to stand up on that worm. And I think at that point I clapped. I mean, it was the music, came to a crescendo and there was this release of emotion. We see the Fremen all cheering. We see Stilgar and the Fremen from the south having that prophecy fulfilled, and that religious fervor that they have is really indoctrinated. Like, they are brainwashed, so they're going through a different experience, I think, than some of the northern Fremen. And this is it. Like, this is the last step in him becoming a Fremen. It's not the last step that Jessica tells him that he needs to do, though, because she has plans within plans and she is manipulating this situation. She has already told him that he needs to drink the water of life in order to become the Lisan al-Gaib. I will stop there and pick up where this starts in a little bit. Thanks.